welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you a tutorial on how to crochet a potted plant. This is one of my favorite plant patterns as the leaves are really easy and quick to work up, so grab your hook and let's get started. Before we jump into things, you're going to need 3 colors of yarn, green, brown, and white, a 3.5mm hook, scissors, as well as a needle. To start things off, we're going to begin by creating a magic circle and then chaining 2. Then we're going to insert 12 double crochets into the magic circle. If you've never done a double crochet before, all you do is loop over your hook, insert, loop over 1, loop over and pull through 2, loop over and pull through 2, kind of how I show in the video, but definitely look up a tutorial to familiarize yourself with single crochets, double crochets, and treble crochets, as we're going to be using those all throughout this video. Once you're done with the 12 double crochets, you're just going to pull the tail end of the loop from your magic circle and make sure that it is closed tightly. And then to finish your round, you're going to slip stitch into the chain space of the first double crochet that you created, and then you're going to chain 2. Then for the second round, you're going to insert 2 double crochets into the space where you just chained 2, and then so on and so forth. So you're going to end up with 24 double crochets all the way around since you started with 12. So you're going to insert 2 double crochets into each stitch to start your increase round. It's going to be 2 double crochets into every stitch all the way until you complete the circle again. To finish this round, you're going to slip stitch closed into the space of your very first double crochet. And then you're going to chain 2. For the next round, you're going to insert double crochets into the back loops only. This is going to be working up the side of the pot. So now that you're done with the base, you're going to be working in the sides. So you kind of want to build it up, which is why we're going to be inserting 1 double crochet into every one of the back loops for this round only. You should start seeing the sides start to form, and then once you're done with that round, you're going to end it as you always do by slip stitching closed into the very first double crochet space. And then you're going to chain 2. For the next round, you're going to be working into both loops, so no more back loop only, and you're going to be inserting 1 double crochet into the same space where you just chained 2, and then insert 1 double crochet into every single space all the way around in the circle, but you're going to be going through both loops, not just the back loops this time. Once you're done with that round, you're going to slip stitch closed, same as always, and chain 2. Here's how your pot should be looking so far. We want to make this a little bit taller, so we're going to do the same process of chaining 2 and then double crochet into the same space that you just chained 2, and then insert 1 double crochet all the way around once again. Now you should have 3 rows on your pot, so you're going to slip stitch closed, chain 2, and do this one more time for your 4th row. After your 4th row is where I like to slip stitch closed and stop building up the side of the pot, but if you want yours to be a little lengthier or taller, by all means keep going. And instead of cutting your yarn and fastening off, now you're going to chain however long you want to be the hanging portion of your plant. I think I chained around 40 or 50 here, and reminder, you're going to sew in the other end later so that this is going to be the little hook that's going to hang up your pot. Now we're going to get started on creating the dirt portion, which is just the brown yarn, which is going to be the dirt that the leaves are going to attach to between them and the pot. So you're going to follow just as what you did in the first part as the pot is you're going to create a magic circle, chain 2, and then insert 12 double crochets. To finish the circle, you're going to pull the magic circle loop end closed, and then you're going to slip stitch into the very first double crochet and chain 2. Then you're going to repeat what you did for the white pot, and you're going to insert 2 double crochets into every space, 24 total, and you're going to start by inserting 2 into the very same space that you just chained 2. And so then you should have 24 at the very end. After you're done there, you're going to slip stitch close and chain 1 to end. So you're going to pull a loop, leaving a little bit of a tail because you're going to use this to sew in your dirt section into the pot later. So make sure when you cut your yarn fast enough, you leave a little bit of a tail since it's going to be sewed in together later. Now you're going to want to take your green yarn or whatever color you want to make for your leaves and start by chaining 15. Then you're going to locate the 4th chain from your hook and insert a treble crochet. If you've never done a treble crochet, you're just going to loop over your hook twice, loop over, pull through 2, loop over, pull through 2, and loop over, pull through 2. So you're looping over and pulling through 3 times, which is what makes it a treble crochet. And then you're going to insert 1 more treble crochet, so you should have 2 treble crochets into the same space. Then from here, you're going to chain 2, and then to connect, you're going to insert your hook into those 2 front loops, yarn over, and loop through all 3. This can get a little tricky, so be sure to rewind and watch it in slow motion if you need, and I will show it to you many more times if you're struggling. Then you're going to insert 2 more treble crochets into the same space that you just inserted the first 2. Then you're going to chain 3. And slip stitch into the same space to end the first leaf. So you worked all of these into the same chain space, and then you're going to slip stitch into the very next chain space, and then you're going to chain 10, and then you're going to start your second leaf. Same as before, you're going to locate the 4th chain from your hook, and you're going to insert 2 treble crochets. Then you're going to chain 2 and locate those 2 front loops, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Then you're going to insert 2 treble crochets into the same space as the first 2, and then the same process as the last one as well. You're going to chain 3 and slip stitch into that very same space. Then you're going to slip stitch into the next chain space, and then you're going to chain 10. You're going to follow the same pattern as before by locating the 4th chain from your hook after chaining 10 and inserting the 2 treble crochets, chain 2, loop through the front loops, and then chain 2 more treble crochets, chain 3, and slip stitch. You're going to continue with this exact same pattern all the way down for however long that you want to create your leaves. I made mine relatively short, so I only did 4 leaves, but you can definitely lengthen it by adding more and continuing this process. Once you're done with your final leaf, you're going to start working on the other side. So you're going to slip stitch in the next 3 chain spaces, and then instead of chaining 2, you're going to chain 5. So you're going to be working in between the leaves, but on the other side. You don't need to make a chain as long as you were before, but it's going to follow the same process. After the chain 5, you're going to insert 2 treble crochets on the 4th chain from your hook. So that's 1 treble crochet, and then this is the 2nd treble crochet. Then you're going to chain 2, insert your hook into those front 2 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3. And then you're going to insert 2 treble crochets into that same space, similar to what we just did before. And then you're going to chain 3 and slip stitch that closed. Now here's where things differ. You're going to slip stitch into the next 7 chain spaces, and you're going to slip stitch right over that leaf that you just created. I call this on the left side. So you're going to slip stitch right over that and keep going until you've slip stitched into the next 7 chains. And you're going to start to notice that where you land is kind of a gap in between the chain 10 and the 2 leaves that you created, which makes sense because we're creating leaves on that opposite right side so that they kind of go in between each other. So you're going to repeat what you just did below. You're going to chain 5, and then you're going to follow our tried and true pattern by inserting 2 treble crochets into that 4th chain from the hook, chain 2, loop through those 2 spaces, 2 treble crochets, and chain 3. I'm going to show you this many more times so you can follow along in case you get confused, but that's going to be your pattern all the way until you reach where you very first started. Once you finish with your very last leaf, you're just going to slip stitch all the way into the top where you started at your beginning. You're going to cut your yarn and loop over and fasten off, but you're going to want to leave a little bit of a loop so that we can sew this into the potted dirt later. I ended up making 3 of these leaf stems, but you can make as many as you want. And then we're just going to insert our hook into the little hole in the middle from our magic circle, and we're going to pull those little yarns that we left on our leaves all the way through, 3 times or more for every single leaf bundle that you created. And then you can fasten off however you like, but I just like to tie them all together in some pretty big knots. I find that these don't really come undone, and since there's so many, it doesn't really fall through, but you could do many other methods like hot glue or sewing them through a different way. This is just the simplest way that I like to do it. And then we're going to sew the dirt onto the pot. So you're going to want to insert your needle into the back loop of the brown dirt section of the pot. And you're just going to repeat this all the way around. But before you fasten off on the very end, you're going to insert some stuffing to give your pot some shape. So here I'm almost done with my sewing, and I'm just inserting a little bit of stuffing so that my potted plant gets a little bit of shape. You can kind of fill it with scrap yarn if you want, or anything like tissue paper. I just had stuffing, so that's what I love to use. And then once you're done sewing it all together, you can just insert your needle into the side of the pot to kind of tie it off and hide that string, cut your yarn, and hide any of the tails left over. Now we're going to circle back to our chain that we made at the beginning. You're going to want to place it on the exact opposite side of where your pot is, and then you're just going to sew it in and create a little loop to tie it off, and then you're going to hide your yarn similar to how you did for the brown portion. And there you go, you have a simple little potted plant. I like to hang these up in my room, in my car, anywhere that looks fun and cute. I love all the detail and how simple it is and how realistic the leaves look. Please let me know if you have any questions, and please be sure to tag me if you make one of your own. Thanks so much for watching.